Hey, so today we're talking about video games. Did you hear that? That was the sound of several hundred unsubscription buttons all being clicked in unison. Oh, what a beautiful sound. Now I recognize that the large majority of my audience is female, and as such you guys probably don't particularly care about video games, which is totally fine. So quickly, to appease that portion of my audience, these are shoes. So I just finished the newly released Portal 2 a couple of hours ago, and oh my god, is it tremendous. I'm trying to pick out where in my top 5 it is, but it's definitely up there. And even if you don't like video games, you would probably enjoy Portal 2, because it's not World War II, you aren't shooting stuff, you're not stomping on things until blood spurts everywhere. It's not like that. It's essentially a very complicated puzzle game. Here's a little footage of it. Basically, you try and solve puzzles by manipulating these two portals that open essentially holes in the environment. And there's all sort of physics manipulation. It's bloody brilliant is what it is. And even though the mechanics of that game are brilliant, that's not why I like Portal 2, and that's not why I like video games in general. Why I do like Portal 2 is because it has an interesting and funny storyline with dynamic characters that grow and develop in a real and impacting way. I see video games as an incredibly interesting world of potential. Video games have the chance to be on the same level as books or movies or any other medium, a conduit for art and storytelling previously unimaginable. And the great thing about video games that is different from those other mediums is that it is intrinsically interactive. It makes the person part of the experience, part of the story, part of the art. That is something that books can't do. Unfortunately, when most of the public thinks of video games, they don't think of art and storytelling. What they think of is bam bam. And to be perfectly honest, that's not entirely unwarranted. Some of the most popular games of the last few years have been essentially mindless killing machines. But some of the most successful movies of the last few years have also been mindless and terrible. Transformers. Something in my throat. So like I said before, video games have a lot of potential for literary storytelling. There already are a lot of great games out there that do this. The example I'm going to use is a game that came out last year called Heavy Rain. So the really cool thing about Heavy Rain is that there's no shooting, there's no fighting, there's no racing, there's no stealth. None of the usual video game stuff is there, because what it essentially is a really, really complicated choose-your-own adventure. The entire game is decision after decision after decision after decision, and those decisions have very real consequences on the story. So based on the decisions that you make, the story can have completely different outcomes, and a lot of times those decisions have to be made under stressed circumstances and with very little time. It's so brilliant. And it's not some sort of hokey story either. It's a very dark story about a child who was abducted and trying to get him back, and how far you'll go to save someone you love. It raises very real ethical and moral decisions that are not easy to make. And in terms of storytelling, Heavy Rain could easily rival some books and movies that people consider classics, and yet it is often dismissed by the general public because it's a video game, and therefore for kids. So let's jump away from storytelling for a second. Video games also have tremendous potential as a medium for art. Case in point, a downloadable game on the PlayStation Network for $15 called Flower. Absolutely brilliant. Flower is not so much a game as it is interactive art. I mean, first of all, just look at it, it's beautiful. In Flower, basically what you do is you control a single flower petal at the beginning, and you have to go and touch other flowers. Each time you touch a flower, it'll emit a musical note, and then that flower petal from that flower will start to follow your flower petal, and you'll start to build up this trail of flowers that you're just sweeping through the meadows, and it's a very intensely emotional experience. And as you progress, you'll sort of figure out that a certain type of flower will take dead portions of the environment and bring it back to life, and as you go, you'll see Flower has a story. It's just all visually conveyed, and you'll see all sorts of commentary about the beauty of nature and the consequences of industrialization. It's actually very eloquent, but it's all done entirely without words of any sort. Video games are still a very fledgling media, and honestly they're kind of in their twerpy adolescent years when they're still dealing with growing up when they don't want to, but mark my words, in a few years, I'm excited about the possibilities. I'll see you all tomorrow.